How to be broke and fail your family. Check it. If you want to know how you can be broke, have an unhappy wife, raise your kids poorly, and totally fail your family, then you're in the wrong place, brother. Why? Because this interview you're about to hear with Greg Smith from the Rise Above podcast, he'll show you how you can work less, make more, and have a happy family using a simple 3-word formula that kills procrastination dead in its tracks. Let's jump in. Just in case anybody that is seeing this video is hearing about you for the first time, can you just give us a quick 30-second Greg Smith elevator pitch?
Oh man, that's totally not me. I don't know, I've been an entrepreneur for 11 years, very heavy into network marketing. Just got my podcast started a couple months ago, thanks to you. And I'm a family guy through and through. I got 3 kids, 6, 3, and 1. Things are a little crazy, so I push the kids out. But that's it, man. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a dad, and I just love life. So
here's a big question for me. You said you're an entrepreneur and a dad. Which one comes first?
Always a dad. Yeah. I told somebody the other day, working on a big project, and I said, if you really want to tick me off, I said, you get in between my family time. Like, you start bugging me during family time when I tell you, hey, yesterday was a family day. And so everything's unplugged. I tell my certain business associates, hey, I'm not going to reach out to you on this day. Don't reach out to me. That's the number one way where you get on the dirty list, it's just after I tell you that, and then you're still trying to talk business with me. No bueno. So
he starts speaking in tongues. Watch out. Oh man. So that's it, man. So look, I did write down a couple notes because I will say, maybe I shouldn't say, it might make your head inflate. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. And that's why we're working together. Because when I heard you talk, every time I see you live, it's I love this guy. And so that's what I'm hoping everybody here gets a little piece of that. So one of the first conversations we had, you talked about, and actually you influenced me because I thought I was hot stuff because I get up at 3:30 in the morning and I rock my day out and all that shit. And you told me you get up at 10 a.m. And I'm like, what? Do you really sleep in every day? Tell me about that.
Well, I used to, man. My wife and I were talking just yesterday, we can't even remember life before kids, but I know that it involved a lot more sleeping. But nowadays, for me, I have always been a late sleeper. Now I don't get to sleep in. Today I was up at 6:45. However, I didn't go to bed till 2, and so I know. So, literally the past couple of weeks I've been running on 5 hours, sometimes 6, thankfully, typically no naps. I used to be a big nap guy, but for me, I've just never been a morning person. I've always been a night owl. And that's when I get things done. That's when my house is quiet. And that's when I can record my podcasts and do my reading and all of those different things. So I would sleep in later if I could without kids these days, but I'm still a night owl. So the time that I'm sleeping has just gotten shortened.
Oh, that's what happened. You just gave up on sleep. Damn it, man. So look, I was listening to your show and I kind of did the whole binge listen thing because of course I got a preview of everything. I knew what was coming out, but when I knew that we were doing this live, I started binge listening, and I there's so many things that I really dig about it, but I want to talk about hanger space. That little space that you leave for hangers. Tell us that story of how you do the little hanger space in the closet, because that's what we do here. And I thought we were the only people that did this.
Yeah. Well, man, if it goes back to childhood, I was the messiest kid in the world. Literally you'd walk in my room and you'd be on 4 inches of just dirty clothes and things like that. I was never forced to really be organized. And so, becoming a dad and an entrepreneur, you start to learn being organized actually helps things move along. And so for the longest time, after being married, actually tomorrow will be 11 years. My wife and I have been married. So yeah. And so one of the things when I got married is I started to realize if I don't pick something up, there's only one other person in the house to pick that up. And so it was really disrespectful to her in that sense, to think that she's just automatically going to pick it up. And, if she doesn't pick it up out of spite, then we just end up with a bunch of stuff, clustered up. And so our walk-in closet, after we got one, I realized, okay, after I take a shirt off, like this one, I take the shirt off. When I have an empty hanger, we have the spot right in between both of our clothes where those go. And that way, whenever she does the laundry, she comes back in to rehang the clothes. Everything's right there. Whereas before it'd be like shirt, hanger, 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 shirt, 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 another hanger, shirt. And you just never know where the hangers were or the right ones, because there's certain hangers for, shirts or pants or all those different things. So we got one spot, it's organized, and it makes things that much quicker.
Oh man. So that really messes everything up. So you're getting up early. You got this hanger space. Your whole first show was about procrastination. So, and that's what I said, this is all going to be about procrastination. So tell me a little bit then, how are you still a procrastinator?
100%. I was, your wife has messaged me, I think 3 times in the past week. I was like, oh Lord. So yeah, so I am 100% a procrastinator. And I hate even saying I am a procrastinator, because it's an affirmation or a declaration. But, the fact is how I operate. I've just figured it out. So, I'll have, like right now, I'm a little behind on my schedule, but by Sunday night, by the time I leave, I'll have at least 2 more podcasts that are in there, because I just work good on a crunch time. And that's how I've always been. And so, I heard this Parkinson's law. Have you ever heard that? Do you know what Parkinson's law is?
Tell us.
So essentially you have whatever space or time available for something, it will always get filled. Or like a closet, no matter the size of the closet, you will always fill it with stuff, or the size of the house or room or, car. So it's literally whatever space is available, you'll take it up. And I've realized that I like to take it up, but it's just right at the end, for time of projects that need to get done, et cetera. So right now I've been procrastinating, but I almost, it's a little bit of procrastination, but it's also a lot of, overload. And so I work really well on time crunches and having that pressure. But oftentimes, naturally as humans, I want to avoid pain and I want to procrastinate. And when there's a big project or something to do, and this is how I know something's important, is when I know it's on my to-do list and then I'm finding something else to go do, it means that project is just that much more important. And so now I've learned, that's when I activate that do it now, mentality, where it's like, okay, don't do that, do this now. I'll feel a lot better once it is done. But I still find myself procrastinating on many things,
By the way, Cupcake told me you're going to be speaking to Greg. Can you get him off his ass?
I got her other email this morning. I'm like, this is perfect. Like,
thank you. Great. Cracking the whip.
Exactly. But hey, that's why I have you guys. So that's I love it. I mean,
so how then have you found a way to break through that procrastination? Because you're a successful guy. I mean, you do really well. You help a lot of people. You get shit done. So how do you do it?
Man, that's a great question. One of the things for me, I'm very introverted, but I'm also extroverted in many ways. And so I like team efforts. I like to have people that rely upon me in terms of, like, I don't need to be needed, but when I know other people are relying upon me, it motivates me that much more, because then it's just not me that suffers from not getting something done. It's the other people that I'm also in business with or in charge of, certain things. And so a lot of it, one thing, just this past December, I launched a business that's doing exceptionally well this year. And what happened is my partner and I were on the phone and we're talking about how great it's going to be, how great it's going to be. And then she's like, okay, we're just setting a date. And I was like, okay. And then she set it for she was like, how about, December 16th. And that was like 2 weeks away. And I was like, I don't know about that, but then I was like, okay, let's do it. And then we set the date. And because we set that date and she was banking on me to do my side of it and vice versa, man, we crushed out what would normally take a year. I mean, seriously, it was just, we were up every night all the way until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, up again at 8, do the kid thing, get through the day, and then back at it. And we crushed so much stuff within that time. And so basically we took Parkinson's law, and instead of dragging it out, we set that deadline and made a very specific goal of when we're going to launch something. And so, right now with Cupcake as an example, time is running out, because if I don't get something recorded, I don't have a podcast to come out that week. And so it's one of those things where it's like, what are the necessities? And this is probably my biggest thing. So, and that's why I get backed up on certain things, is because I know that I can push that episode back just a little further while I get something else done that is time sensitive this week or 2 days ago. And so I'm always just trying to look at each day and say, what can I get done today that's most important, that has to be done today? Because that's my Parkinson's law. It came up to, hey, today's the deadline. And I just keep pushing it. So
when you do that, when you set those short timelines and you push yourself, is there like a punishment or a problem when you don't hit your deadlines? How's that work?
sometimes there's not, which can be an issue. And then things don't get done. I mean, just being very truthful. A lot of times though, the one thing, like one of my affirmations for a long time, is I am who I say I am, and I do what I say I'm going to do. And so especially another one was, I don't defer hope in other people. And so when I have people who have their hope or faith in me to do something, the punishment is you lose that trust or that relationship that comes from that. If I say, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to help you, as my organization, as an example, hey, I'm going to do this training, every week, Wednesdays, et cetera. And then I don't do it, I lose trust. And so that's something that I won't compromise. So I'll make sure that I get that done. But other small projects, they do, sometimes they don't get done. But when I have people that are counting on me and I have to get things done, or financially, I'm going to lose money because I don't get it done, or I'm paying for a service and I have to maximize, it's one of those things. Like even my virtual assistant, I know that I have to maximize her. And so if I'm not giving her workload, I hurt financially because of that. So it's either financially or it's relationally, I think, are the two major drivers that force me to get some stuff done.
Sounds to me like you're one of those. Well, what would you say? Are you motivated by the carrot or the stick?
I don't know, probably both at some point.
Like, you're not you're losing money. No.
That's right. Yeah, I think.
All right. So talk to me about the affirmation. Like one of my favorite things, and I think it almost came up as a name for your podcast in the beginning, is this idea of do it now, and how you have used that to battle this procrastination thing.
Yeah, it was probably, I think it was 2011 or 12. I went through a big affirmation phase, and I actually was just talking to one of my mentors this morning, and I was like, why do I not have more affirmations all the time? It's like, because I did those back then, that got me to here. And it's like, okay, the same mind that got me to here is not the same mind that's going to get me to there. So I need to continually change that software. But when I was changing the software, from massive procrastination and wanting to just sit on the couch and watch TV as opposed to actually executing something that was going to make my life better or somebody else's life better, that was my affirmation, was do it now. And that was the same time as I do not defer hope. Those were two affirmations that were one in front of the other. And so that do it now was literally just, I think there's a gal out right now. She's got the 5-second rule. It's kind of the same thing. But for me, it's just always been like, well, just do it now. Just do, whatever I can do now. And I had something right before the podcast, or right before this at 12:40, and I was like, okay, I could wait until after, or I could just whip it out. It took me 3 minutes. It's done. I feel great, and I don't have to worry about that for the rest of the day. So it's really just that whole mindset that whatever you can execute right now, then just get it done. And one of the things over the past 6 months alongside that, I think that I've morphed is I've started to look at each day and have a list. Now there's some days I don't get this done as much as I'd like to, but there's certain days, like I woke up really early one day last week, and it was like 7 a.m. That's really early for me. So my wife is like, what are you doing up? And I'm like, it's $1 million day. And she knows what that means for me, because what it means is I will take a list of things that are just hanging over me. And I'll say, okay, if I could get all of this stuff done, either by delegating, that's probably the most important thing, is delegating out what I don't actually want to do or what I shouldn't be doing, things that are not high value. And so however I get it done, if I get all this stuff done today, I make $1 million today. Now, have I made $1 million in one day? No, but that's what I'm working toward, affirming is like, one day this workload, this effort of doing it now and today may equate to $1 million day, you know? And so I've gone from just do it now in these little segments to like a whole day of like crushing things and just telling myself like, what if I would make $1 million today by doing all this stuff? And you never know, one activity or one connection that you make throughout that day, or a call that you've been putting off, or a sales letter that you might write could make you $1 million. You just never know. So that's kind of been the mutation, of that phrase. But do it now it's written all over the house. So
the Do It Now conference coming at you soon. Tomorrow.
There you go. Not today.
We'll just put that off.
Next month.
So, all right. It's interesting. And a lot of people, I used to be one of those people actually, don't like that word affirmation. And to me, can that be interchanged with philosophy? Because I think people hear affirmation and they shut down.
What? That's interesting to me to hear that, because I've never heard that. So what is it about affirmation that turns people off?
It, to me, and it's probably my bias. You're here with me, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to be the one asking the questions.
That's right.
It's kind of like a vision board. Like,
okay.
I tried in the beginning when I was first into business. Put a vision board, and I got Lamborghinis on there, and I'm like, I'm never going to have this shit. I hate this board. It deflated me.
Sure.
And so I felt that way about affirmations too for a very long time.
Yeah. I think so. This is big to me. Affirmations are a huge deal. I could pull half these books off and they're going to talk about mindset and affirmations. So it's interesting to hear that, because I've never heard somebody say, I don't like that word, or it is a philosophy, but an affirmation is an affirmation. You are affirming to yourself what you are or what you're not. So by saying I am, and at the beginning, that's what I said, is like, I almost hate saying I am a procrastinator, because I'm reaffirming, which is an affirmation, to myself that I'm a procrastinator. And I don't want to be a procrastinator. I mean, nobody wants to be a procrastinator. I mean, if I've learned anything from my first episode, is that is one of the hottest topics that I really didn't know so many people could relate with, is just procrastinating and putting things off. I think a lot of times we put things off because we don't really believe that it's going to yield the result that we really want to, or we just envision so much pain that it's going to take to get through whatever that is. And the carrot isn't as good as what the pain's going to be to get that done. But the affirmation to me, and I pull sheets, man, I've literally rewired my brain. I mean, if you go back to Greg Smith, 12 years ago, you would not have me on here. I was something else. I mean, I'm still something else, but I was something else, back then. So I think it's important to have affirmations. The affirmations, though, I think where people get lost is say, I make $1 million a year. I make $1 million. Like, that's fine, but do you really believe that? And what you're saying with the vision board for yourself, you might have a picture of the Lamborghini, but you didn't really believe that you would actually ever have it. So maybe we need to take that down and go to like a BMW 5 Series, or like something that's more affordable that can step your way up. And it's the same thing with, I did and have written myself checks. I have one right over there where it would say, I make $30,000 a month, and I would write a check to myself for $30,000 a month, and I would date it. And when I would reach that, I would tear that check, or I'd just catalog it away, and I'd go to 40,000. And so I've always progressively, I think the key to an affirmation when it comes to money or material things is you have to work your way there. Because if your mind really doesn't believe that you're going to ever have it or achieve that, then yeah, you're doing more harm than good. But I think where affirmations really come in play, especially I've dealt with this a lot just with people, but specifically women, is telling themselves that they love themselves. Like, I love myself. I'm in love with my body. People enjoy me. Like, I'm a good parent. Like, those are things, because especially as a parent, it's easy to be like, man, I suck today. Like, I'm I wish I didn't snap at my child or get frustrated. And you can start to say those affirmations like, but it's very important to overcome those with positive things like, I do not defer hope. People enjoy me. I have a great smile. I'm a walking reward for 10,000 people. Like that's been many of my affirmations throughout years. Did I ever think it'd be 10,000 people? I wasn't really sure. Has it been? Yeah, but I think the key is to have affirmations that just deal with you, what you believe, right? I think that's the key. Like you're affirming what you believe, right? Your intentions to be like my intentions to be is to have deep and loving relationships. A lot of people believe that they can never have good relationships because of past relationships or experiences. And so if they keep relying on that and telling themselves about that, like I'm not worthy of having a good relationship. Well, you just said I am blank. And so you're reaffirming to your brain what you are. So I don't know.
Hot button right there, boy.
Yeah,
Hot
affirmations
button.
I believe affirmations change your life. If you learn how to do them correctly, I think, I watched The Secret in 2007, when that was hot. And yeah, I mean, you got to put action behind the work, baby. Like you can't just put a picture and it's magically going to show up, but your brain will start to solve a problem if you put it in front of, your brain enough. It's amazing. So if the problem is you want a Lamborghini, you'll figure out a way to get one. You may go broke doing so, but because you might take out a stupid loan doing it, you may not earn it or pay for it, whatever. But I don't know. So I think there's a difference in between vision board and affirmations.
Look, I'm into it now, so we're cool. I mean, this right here is an affirmation, what I'm living here. So that's why I brought it up. So let's talk about self-talk, because you talked earlier about programming yourself. And I want to know a little bit about how you reprogrammed yourself and what that process was like.
Yeah, I think, one of the fastest ways you can program yourself is through osmosis, right? Is through, I believe, and it's your circle of influence. It's your circle of friends. I had somebody reach out just last week and they said, hey, I need to get rid of all my friends. Like they were listening to one of my podcasts and they're like, yeah, I've realized I need to get rid of my friends. Like they are dragging me down because this particular individual is wanting to become more in life. He's wanting to break the mold of, I come from Southeastern Ohio. It's very industrious and he wants to be an entrepreneur. And to be an entrepreneur isn't normal, And so he wants to break that mold, but his friends are telling him he's stupid. And so one of the quickest ways that you can start to reprogram is to go start socializing with other people who are where you want to be, or they're going in the direction that you want to go. And so you can do that many different ways through different mastermind meetings. Heck, now with social media, which really wasn't prevalent when I started becoming an entrepreneur, you can do that through Facebook groups. Now you can also get lost twiddling your thumbs and thinking you're doing stuff and never making any money or progress or provide value to the world just because you're sitting inside of a group. But getting around other people that are like-minded, that's the fastest way you can do it. Aside from that is books. I got books upon books where you read how somebody else thinks and you're injecting that into you. And so I always say, your mind is the computer, and sometimes you just need to keep updating that software and get the next version and the next version. And a lot of people are just still running on 1.0, because they've never upgraded the software. They're always running off old programming through your childhood, which could be good or bad, depending on your parents or your influences or your teachers. A lot of false beliefs come from that. I think a lot of people will find out the way that you parent. A lot of times it's very similar to the way that your parents parented, rather good or bad. And so you might be like, man, like that was my dad speaking, like you ever done that where you're like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, that's weird. And so then you're like, okay, scratch that. Like, okay, need to learn something else. So I think the best way is to get around other people, or pay a mentor. I've done that many, many times, to have a mentor really inject into me. That's why I was actually thinking this morning as I was driving home from an appointment, just about how when you pay somebody as a mentor to mentor you, you're getting, they've already read all these books. They've already taken the courses. They've paid, like, I know you're a part of different groups. And so you're paying to be a part of those groups. And so you've already gone out and you can really help them fast forward, and get to a different place much quicker without them spending as much money or time that you have. And that's a great thing with what we have now with technology and, just Zoom like this to where you can connect and so forth. So anyways, that's, I would say get around other people. That's the first thing. Change your influence.
I'm with you. I do not hang out with anybody that I went to high school with, and I get the occasional, oh, what, you're too good for everybody. Oh, you're leaving your friends behind. What do you say about that?
Well, that's actually, I think that's one of the next episodes I'm getting ready to do. But I still have, I have two guys that were really my best friends. I have one best friend that I don't ever talk to. I have another guy that was one of my best friends who told me I'd only ever be a pizza boy for the rest of my life, which is fine. Hey, man, I enjoyed architecting the perfect pizza for 7 years of my life. Nothing wrong with that. But, it wasn't where I was going to go. So long story short, I think you're like your real friends that just love you for who you are. You can still connect with, and like I have friends that we still connect on our birthdays, and just especially as guys. I mean, a lot of times a guy you can get back together, after 2-3 years and hang out, and it's just like nothing happened. You're just boys. Like, let's just be boys and go do whatever we used to do. But I think who you associate with daily definitely changes, and I think I have friends that just understand that I'm over here and they're over here, but we still love each other as friends because that's just, we're brothers, in a sense, but we have two different pathways in life. And then there's other people that I've just completely disassociated with. And it's for the better. It is what it is. You went this way, I went this way. If we're not on the same track in life and we don't have the same principles and philosophies and belief system, then it just, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's actually that's part of the reason I got into the whole podcast thing, was because of talking to guys like you or like Ben said on all that, and saying, damn, more people need to hear this. We need to raise the level of awareness so that people understand that whatever crap they're getting around them, that's not the only thing. And so I'm happy to have folks like you around me elevating my game, so to speak. So do it now. Procrastination, hangar space. I think we covered all the bases. Those are my notes. So I did prepare. I'm gonna show you. That's real preparation right there. Okay?
I like it. I love all your notes. You're a wizard.
Yeah. So look, man, I want people to listen to the Rise Above podcast, and I'll share links to that. But where else, if you want them to go somewhere else, where should they go to find you?
Man, I don't have I'm like, I say it all the time, leadership in the shadows. So it'd be my personal Facebook page, which is just Greg Smith. Or, I guess I've been putting more content out through my Facebook business page, but you can email me at greg@riseabovepodcast.com. That's kind of just been the hub, but I've never had a major online. The podcast, as was like my stepping out of just like, I want to share what I've learned over the past 11 years and just get the message out a little bit more. So the podcast is really, that's my deal right now. That's my outlet.
Yeah, so. Rise Above podcast. Yep. Greg Smith, reprogramming your brain, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to rap with me. Did I miss anything that you wanted to cover? You look down like, I don't know if you have notes there or prepared speech or something.
No, I don't actually. I didn't know any. You were just like, hey, let's hop on. And I always love talking to you. I was telling somebody just the other day, they were trying to pull their thoughts together. And I said, hey, I'll introduce you to Jonathan. He's a wizard and he really helped me pull my strategy together. So no, I have some other stuff, but it wasn't for this. So
statement.
What's that? Yeah.
No, I knew it would be good. And I knew we would touch all the bases here. Rise Above podcast, Greg Smith. Thank you, brother, for being here.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thank you.
See, this is what I love. I love being able to bring you cool dads that are getting stuff done. Greg is one of those guys. Every time I talk to him, I feel lit up on fire and ready to take action. I hope you feel the same way too. You can listen to the show over at the Podcast Factory. It's the Rise Above podcast. Awesome show. Yeah, so next time I have something a little bit different for you. If you're one of those people that is strapped for time, but you want to make a lasting impact in your market, you want to be a leader, you want people to know your name, you want the massive audience you've been looking for, then you're going to want to tune in, because if you're lacking consistency in your content, if you're not connecting with your audience, if you have no way to make a lasting impact, we're going to fix all of that for you on the next show.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.